It's now coming up to 23 minutes to 11 on this, your Wednesday edition of Southeast Radio's Morning Mix. And I'm joined in the studio once again by fertility expert from the Sunnis Health and Wellness Centre in Bunclody, Siobhan Kehoe. Good morning to Siobhan.
Good morning, Alan. Thanks for having me.
You haven't come alone because you brought with you Karen and you brought with you Nicola, and we're going to have a chat with them in just a second, isn't that right?
Yeah.
But first off, we're going to look at the whole area that we're going to focus on today, and that is miscarriage. What is miscarriage?
A miscarriage, well, I think we're talking a bit about recurrent miscarriage this morning also, but a miscarriage can happen at any stage before 24 weeks, but typically it happens before 12 weeks. And I was coming on this morning just to give hope and to explain different reasons why miscarriage happens, and why the mother mightn't be able to either hold on to the baby, or what happens that the embryo and the fetus mightn't be strong enough to survive.
Yeah, I think before we even get into this, I think we need just to let people know who you are again, because people will remember you, and we're going to go back and we will revisit the story, because the last time we had people in the studio who were expecting babies, and we'll find out what happened at the end.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, a little bit about yourself again. Remind us, you practice you worked as a midwife and a nurse, and then changed tack someone. What did you do?
Yeah, I qualified as a nurse in 1988, and then as a midwife in 93, and then I studied Chinese medicine for 5 years. Even though I have great respect for Western medicine, sometimes I feel it treats the symptom rather than the root cause. So I travelled around the world and looked into all different types of medicines and therapies that are out there, and I realise Western medicine, although it's great, and as I say, I have great respect for it, and especially for the diagnostic procedures, sometimes I feel we treat the symptom rather than the root cause, and for me it's always important to get to the cause of the problem.
Yeah.
So I studied the Chinese medicine for 5 years, and then worked and studied for a little while in China after that. And I'd also worked in different places abroad. I worked in an IVF clinic, in an antenatal clinic, an early pregnancy unit, and so I got learned different experiences. Well, I'm still learning every single day, but it helped me to look at it from both aspects, both from the Western and the Chinese medicine, to try and give a better treatment to people.
Yeah, and part of what you do is acupuncture, and I'm curious as to know, how does acupuncture affect or improve fertility?
Well, it's a combination, that I do of the acupuncture and of the herbs, and I recommend particular diets for people also. With the acupuncture in Chinese medicine, they recognise that's just energy channels in the body. They recognise the 12 main organs, same as Western medicine, but they recognise that this links with an energy channel in the body too. And so it's about tapping into where the deficiency is, where the problem is, and trying to nourish that, using certain points on the channel with the acupuncture, or using certain herbs, to be specific to tonify the particular organ and the particular problem.
Okay. Well, I think what we'll do now is we'll speak to the ladies I have in here in the studio with me, Karen and Nicola. Come to you first, though, Karen. You've had 5 recurrent miscarriages.
That's right, yeah.
Are you comfortable to tell us what you've been through? What happened?
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so both myself and my husband, we always said we would love 4 kids, so we were very excited to obviously have our 3 beautiful, healthy boys, and to be pregnant once again on baby number 4. I had gone for a scan at 8 weeks and everything was fine. Baby's heart was beating perfectly and no need for any concerns. I was under a lot of stress over the following weeks, and at week 14 things didn't feel right. I'd lost the pregnancy feeling, began to feel cramps, went to the hospital where a scan revealed there was no longer a heartbeat. Needless to say, we were devastated. I had been going through a stressful time, and this added to it further as we continued trying for baby number 4. I'd never seemed to have any problems conceiving, but on the further 4 pregnancy I was feeling cramps from about 6 weeks. I nervously had a scan on each pregnancy at 8 weeks, which always showed a healthy heartbeat, but then I felt the pains get worse and a pull and dragging feeling, which then resulted in a miscarriage each time. We were devastated. The stress of it all was getting worse. I was physically and mentally drained, and I felt that I would never have another baby. So in 2016, I had my 5th miscarriage, and we were both very disheartened. And we were giving up hope of ever having another baby. Even though we already have 3 beautiful children, it just seemed impossible for us to have baby number 4. So it was devastating. We both had all the medical blood tests done. I had ultrasounds to see if anything was medically wrong, and even got the chromosome testing done. The end result was unexplained miscarriages, and there was nothing more they could do to help me. The consultant had advised that I take aspirin for the next pregnancy, which I did, but it unfortunately still resulted in a miscarriage.
And what was the suggestion for taking aspirin? Or the reason behind it?
For in case if there was any blood clotting or anything like that.
Yeah. In the blood. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So then a friend of mine highly recommended Siobhan to me. At the time, we thought we can't go through this again, but yet deep down, we really weren't ready to totally give up. So we gave it a go and went to Siobhan. So Siobhan, she was amazing. From the very first meeting, she reassured me, gave me back confidence of ever having another baby. She said I was spleen deficient. She was very professional, and everything she said made sense. Siobhan gave me a book to read, and it was actually like reading about myself and how I was feeling. Siobhan said I was to give up wheat, dairy and sugar and take herbs, so I followed everything Siobhan said to me strictly. She also said I need to look after myself and to try relax and not to worry, and kept reassuring me everything will be okay. The whole process with Siobhan was very relaxing, natural, non-invasive, no chemicals, and it worked. I was always also a person who put everyone else before myself, always making sure everyone else was okay, run around doing too much and never thinking of myself.
You mentioned the word stress, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were very stressed.
Yeah, I was going through a stressful time, and on top of all that, and so I knew my body was tired. It was worn out, and I thought, how could that be a healthy environment for a baby to even survive? So I took on the advice from Siobhan. I started putting myself first, got rid of the stress out of my life where I could, stopped running around after everyone, went to meditation once a week, followed a healthy diet, took the herbs, and I went to Siobhan for regular acupuncture, and my monthly cycle and body temperature regulation had also improved. So after taking all the herbs and following the diet, along with eliminating the stress where possible and relaxing, everybody was commenting on how healthy I looked, and I actually felt great.
Right.
So then after 4 months I felt pregnant. We were both very excited but also very nervous. But I did trust Siobhan 100%, and whenever I had any concerns, she was also always contactable and very helpful and understanding. So this time the pregnancy actually felt right from the start. It felt different, it felt stronger, I felt and looked great and didn't have that pull and dragging feeling and no cramps. So I felt as if my body had been cleansed, repaired and strengthened to become a healthier environment for my baby to survive. So I nervously went for a scan, of course, at 12 weeks, and there was my baby's healthy heart still beating. So it was both emotional and amazing. And
And keep going.
Yeah, so we were both so excited, and we actually couldn't believe it. So anytime I had any concerns throughout the pregnancy, Siobhan always fished me in for an appointment where possible. Yeah. So I felt so relaxed and healthy throughout the whole pregnancy, and knowing I had Siobhan there to help me made us even more confident. So 20 weeks we were still nervous about going for the scan, not knowing what to expect, but there we seen the beautiful heart still beating, and to find out after already having 3 beautiful healthy boys that we were having a girl. Oh. So as a result of all Siobhan's help, I continued to have a very healthy pregnancy. So towards the end of the pregnancy, I got an itch all over my body in the last few weeks of the pregnancy, which was unbearable. But Siobhan gave me herbs, which I boiled and drank, and within 24 hours, the itch had disappeared. So I felt great throughout to the end, and went on to full term to have our beautiful, healthy girl, who is now almost 4 months old.
That is an incredible story, and I'm glad you told us in full. I didn't want to interrupt you, because I just had visions of every listener tuned in this morning, wanting to know what happened. We've got to take a short break. When we come back, we'll hear Nicola's story, and then we'll come back to you, Siobhan. Stay with us.
South East Radio's Morning Mix.
In association with Joyce's Expert Wexford, stockist of Garmin sports watches as worn by Lee Chin, Garmin Ambassador.
Joyce's Expert.
Hi, I'm Ruth Field, Super Value store owner. At Super Value, we're here to help you make Christmas super with great offers like save 40% on Super Value fresh Irish lamb leg, Jacob's USA biscuit tin 1 kg, only €8.50. And buy any 6 bottles of wine and save an additional €10. Super Value, here to help you make Christmas super. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
It's officially Christmas at Drina Retail Park, Wexford, Meadows and Byrne, Kelly's Cafe, Hennessy's Gardening Impulse, Michael Farrell Bespoke Furniture, Michael Murphy Home Furnishing, and the new look McDonald's offer you a festive shopping experience like no other. Be inspired by our beautiful lifestyle and interior stores. Dine with family and friends and enjoy Christmas shopping at social gatherings this festive season. Drina Retail Park, Wexford, just off the Rosslare Road roundabout. Check us out on Facebook, Drina Retail Park.
Heading out on the town tonight? Doing some shopping tomorrow? How do you know that door staff or security guards are vetted, trained and licensed? Individuals licensed by the Private Security Authority must wear an identity badge displaying their licence number and their photo. Unlicensed door staff and security guards face prosecution and fines. To report unlicensed door staff or security guards, visit psa.gov.ie. Issued by the Private Security Authority, the security regulator.
Looking for that perfect gift this Christmas? At Hickey's Pharmacy, we have an amazing range of gifts for everyone in the family. With up to half price on fragrances, a great selection of 3 for 2 gifts, and our famous Hickey's hampers full of treats. And we'll still be here when the Christmas celebrations are over to provide care and advice for you and your family. Visit us in Gorey Shopping Centre. Hickey's Pharmacy, your Christmas gift destination.
Do you know someone who's making a difference in your community? The South East Radio Talbot Hotel Outstanding Achievement Awards honour remarkable people. These prestigious awards recognise those who've given their time and done something worthwhile in all walks of life. Winners have included those in the voluntary, charity, sporting, community service, arts and business sectors throughout our communities. Why don't you nominate the person in your area who's quietly achieving remarkable things? This year, we've introduced a new Junior Award recognising students from primary and secondary schools. Find out more and submit an entry online at southeastradio.ie. Pick up an entry form or listen to South East Radio's Morning Mix for more details. Together, we're making a difference. The South East Radio Talbot Hotel Outstanding Achievement Awards.
South East Radio's Morning Mix. Chat, news and your views. Alan Corcoran.
We've just heard a remarkable story from Karen, who has shared her own journey, 5 recurrent miscarriages, now a beautiful baby girl, and we'll come back in just a moment and find out the good news from that particular story. We'll also come back to Siobhan Kehoe, who is a fertility expert, and today we're looking at the whole area of miscarriage. Nicola, you've been waiting patiently to speak to us. You've had 4 recurrent miscarriages.
Yes, yeah. I was similar in some ways and different in some ways to Karen. I had no children. My first pregnancy was kind of when it all started to go wrong. It was very early as well. I only knew I was pregnant for a week when I actually started to have a bit of bleeding. And a lot of people, I suppose, have a small bit of bleeding and it does go on to be okay, but I felt like maybe something was wrong, and the hospital, they did agree to scan me. And on the scan they could just see like a pregnancy sac, whereas normally at around the 6-week mark you would see, you know, the beginnings of a baby, I suppose, like a little blob as such with a heartbeat. But in my case there wasn't any of that, so they said, look, your dates could be wrong, you could be just maybe a bit less pregnant than you think you are, so if you come back to us maybe in 10 days or 2 weeks we'll scan you again. So during those 2 weeks I had no bleeding, I had no pain, I had no sign that anything was wrong. But the scan 2 weeks later unfortunately showed that still nothing had developed. There was still no baby as such. So the pregnancy wasn't continuing, but it was like my body didn't realise. And so I had to have a surgical procedure then to kind of, you know, you think then that's your bad luck done with. In most cases it is. People only have one. But it happened to me 3 times after that.
The same thing?
The very same thing.
Exactly the same. Yeah. And then what happened?
So then, like Karen, we decided to get the test done. We both had blood tests. They tested for everything they could do. We had the scans, you know, they looked into everything they could, the same as Karen, and unfortunately the same answer, that there was just no apparent cause for it. So as I was, I suppose, younger as well, they kept saying, look, you're young, you've plenty of years ahead, there's nothing wrong with you, it's bad luck. And I just personally wasn't happy to accept that it was just bad luck, you know.
So did you take a similar path to what Karen has taken in terms of diet and everything?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Siobhan would recommend that for most people, I think, you know, just to get both of you, I suppose, both husband and wife, to get as healthy as they can be. You know, we did the same with cutting out the dairy and the wheat. And
so it's both it's for the sperm count as well. It's important that the man adopt as well. Is that right?
Yeah. With any miscarriage, I think it's important to treat both parents, because both people, each one is 50% of the potential embryo, and one of the big reasons why miscarriage can happen is because the embryo is it's just a weakened embryo. And my theory is, especially if the woman's a little bit older, or if it's especially something like a blighted ovum where it didn't develop, it's a real sign that embryo is weak. But my theory is, if the woman's older, for instance, she's a full 50% of that embryo, and so out of her 50%, the score is going to be low. And if the man's only average, that mightn't be enough to form the embryo.
So how do you strengthen the man?
And so with herbs and supplements and the acupuncture and stress, looking at the stress levels, I believe, is a big aspect too. So trying to get everything as healthy as we can, preconceptually. Actually, in Chinese medicine, which is the oldest medicine in the whole world, they say the best gift we can give to our future children is their constitution. And so to get everything really healthy before pregnancy happens, before conception happens, I think is really important, especially in Nicola's case, because each case it never developed. There was never a fetal pole. It was an empty sac each time, 4 times. That's a sign that the embryo is weak.
So you've taken us to where you were. You've taken us through the 4 miscarriages, and we've explained. Siobhan has explained, the course of action. What has happened since?
Well, I suppose I was great at Googling this, that and the other, so I started Googling off to see what I could find to help us. I suppose you get to a point where you're just so fed up and you're so down about it, you're so worried, in our case, that we'd never have children, so it was very stressful on both of us at the time. So thankfully we came across Siobhan, and I was reading the testimonials on our website, and I was thinking, wow, she really seems like she could help us, and I just felt like, because the medical, I suppose, side of it, they didn't seem to have many suggestions for us. Actually, at one stage they did suggest IVF, but I suppose I just felt it was very early to jump into something so big, So we met Siobhan. Again, it was just so nice for someone to say to me, I see things that we can improve on, I can help you, so it was nice to have someone to acknowledge that there was something wrong, and that.
And have you fallen pregnant again and managed to have a baby?
I have, yeah. After we took a couple of months out just to take herbs that Siobhan had given us to get healthy, as I said, and when Siobhan was happy that I was at a point where she felt I could have a healthy pregnancy, we went for it. And the first month I got pregnant. Around the 6-week mark, again, I did start to bleed, and I thought, oh no, here we go again. But Siobhan said, no, look, I have different herbs you can take. I can help you, and don't panic yet. Don't be negative, So I tried my best, and I had a scan at 7 weeks, and no one was more surprised than me to see that there was a baby and there was a heartbeat. So
fantastic.
Yeah, so it went from there, no issues. My son was born then in January 2016.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic news.
And even better news then, I suppose the problems I was having before that Siobhan felt she could help me with, like problems in my cycle and stuff like that, I never went back to the way it was. The improvements I saw, they continued the whole way. And the same week my son turned 1, we found out that we were actually having another baby.
Right.
So a bit of a surprise to us, but obviously brilliant news. Now we have 2. The youngest now is 3 months old, and
it's incredible. Time is catching up on us, and this is a fascinating story. But we're not going to let this rest. We have a plan, haven't we, Siobhan? What's our plan? Tell the listeners.
Yeah. Well,
Karen is going to be part of this plan big time as well. So the other Karen, not this Karen.
Yeah.
Karen is looking at me now. I have 2 Karens.
Karen here in Southeast Radio. So she's asked me if I'd be willing to follow couples on their journey, maybe from January time, and so I'll try and do that definitely as best as I can, and people can skip the waiting list and to try and follow them, and also it will give hope and encouragement to other people and give them advice on what can be done. So that's the plan between myself and Karen, and people don't have to give their real names if they don't want to.
That's okay.
And so to follow
I have a few questions. I'm looking at the clock, and I have a lot of questions to ask, so I've got to get them in as quickly as I can. First of all, how is life for you now, Karen?
Oh, absolutely amazing. Yeah, so we're very happy to have our family complete now. And thanks to Siobhan and all of her help. And even after the pregnancy, I had some herbs left, which I also took after the pregnancy, which further rebuilt my body after the birth. So, and I still feel amazing, and yeah, we're very happy.
Really appreciate you coming in and sharing the story, because there are a number of questions coming in, and of course I'll let you direct them towards your website as well. We have a listener who wants to know about the herbs. Can she buy them in a health shop? She can't get past the 5 to 6 weeks pregnancy level. Mark, can you get these herbs in a health shop?
No, you can't get them in the health shop. You know, and the thing with miscarriages, it's very specific. You know, so everyone needs to be treated as an individual. I see. Actually, do I have time to go over the different reasons why miscarriages happen?
I'll let you do that. Yeah, just one other quick question for you. A lady has had 2 miscarriages in the last 4 months. Is that enough to indicate she's a problem?
Absolutely. Every single miscarriage. You know, my aim is that there shouldn't be any miscarriages, to try and protect that embryo. Every embryo is so important. Oh my God, every embryo. If I can help prevent any miscarriage, of course, it's very important for me.
I'm looking at the clock. You've got about 90 seconds, so I'll let you get this important message across then that you want to get across. Can you manage it?
No.
Okay, you can't.
Yeah, well, there's different reasons for miscarriages. I was hoping just to be able to go over it. Can I have a few more minutes?
I think we can take a break for the news, and I think we'll let you come back after the news for a few moments.
Yeah,
Will we do that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks,
we'll do
Alan.
that. I think
Thanks,
it's a hot topic, and we'll do that.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Southeast Radio's morning mix.
In association with Joyce's Expert Wexford, make a clean sweep of your home with a Dyson cord-free, hassle-free, powerful suction vacuum.
Joyce's Expert.
K&K Windows Cranford Gorey. Visit our must-see showroom in Cranford Gorey or our virtual online showroom at kkwindows.ie.
Farmers, keeping up to date with cross-compliance regulations can be difficult.
Your view. Alan Corcoran.
In a few moments, we revisit again our very special White Christmas appeal. We have a special story for you, and our reporter Karen has been out and about to get this story for us. At the end of this particular story, we will bring to your attention how you can become part of Southeast Radio's very special White Christmas appeal in aid of Wexford Rape Crisis Centre. But before we round off our fertility chat this morning, we were asked by Siobhan just give her a couple of minutes to outline what causes miscarriage. We've heard 2 incredible stories from Karen and Nicola. So Siobhan, you want to summarise for the moment, because
summarise it, and also I just want to say a big thanks so much to Karen and Nicola for coming in and telling their incredible stories after 5 and 4 miscarriages. But I just want to say a little bit about what causes it. The longer I've been doing this work, the more I realise the body's always on our side, and to trust our body. I've never not seen a reason for miscarriage happening or for fertility problems for that. So I don't believe in unexplained infertility or unexplained miscarriage. I've never seen it. It's usually the body is out of balance in some way, and this problem needs to be sorted preconceptually to get everything right before fertility happens. With Western medicine, miscarriage is usually treated once the woman gets pregnant, but in Chinese medicine it's nearly always 90% of it would be preconceptual. So the main problems that I see in Chinese medicine, they would talk about the kidney energy, which is linked with the quality of the egg and the sperm. The kidney is also linked with an aspect of fear, so it's looking at that with the woman or the man if they carry that emotion to work with that. It's also linked with a pattern of spleen deficiency. The spleen is linked with holding everything up in place, and also with the digestive system, and also with autoimmune problems. So it's trying to get the spleen strong so we can hold the pregnancy up, to strengthen the digestive system, and also to nourish if there's any autoimmune problems there. The other big thing is the hot and cold, which both of them spoke about. So it's like putting a baby in an incubator with the embryo in the uterus. If it's too hot, if the woman is getting night sweats, this is not a good environment for the embryo to be in, or if it's too cold. The last thing is getting the environment right, getting the lining of the endometrium right. So if the woman has a scanty period, a very light period, to nourish that so the environment is the right environment, or else if there's clots, to get rid of the clots, and so the environment is right. And also if there's clotty period, that this blood would be nourishing the egg, and the environment then wouldn't be right. I would see it as like planting a seed in a mucky, marshy ground. A seed mightn't grow, and this is a big problem that I see. Right. And another thing which Karen mentioned which I'm seeing more and more, especially with recurrent miscarriage, is giving, receiving. I believe we're all energy. We're made up of atoms, which are protons and neurons. We're all energy. Sometimes I see with recurrent miscarriage, it's the type of woman that gives too much of herself, looking after everyone else. And so it's about bringing it back to herself, looking after herself more. And can I just mention about the two women that were here the last day?
Yes, give them a quick mention, because it's a good little story to round off our chat with you.
Yeah. So just to mention, there was 4 people here the last day, 3 women, and there was gentlemen here as well. So they just said to mention them. So because 2 of them have had their babies since.
Brilliant.
Katrina was one of the ladies. She was told she needed a donor egg and she had a high FSH, and she was told she needed a donor egg with IVF. And she was a nurse and was very sceptical. And she told her story here the last day. She's gone on to have her second baby naturally with the herbs. She just had her baby girl last week, and everything is great.
Right.
And then there was Bea, who had 3 failed IVFs and an ectopic pregnancy, and she had used surrogate to get pregnant. She told her story here the last day also. She got pregnant naturally with the herbs, and she just had her healthy baby boy on Monday this week. So
thanks,
everything
Siobhan.
is great. So thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for the extra
once again,
time.
Our thanks to Karen and Nicola for sharing their story. We have to leave it there for the moment.
Alan.
Southeast Radio's White Christmas Appeal in Ada Wexford Rape Crisis Centre at the end of this particular